Yeah, evening guys, girls, just going to do a video tonight. As you know, I haven't done anything for a short while, no stories or anything like that. That's mainly, I was up in South London for the last week, got back yesterday, and so yeah, I was up visiting my parents, getting on a bit, so it's nice to see them, make sure they're all right, old mum and dad. And I just want to say, all the stuff that I say in my videos, and anybody that knows me, outside of YouTube in the real world, knows all this stuff anyway. I mean, people that are close to me, like my family and, all my relatives and close friends, so anything I'm saying to you guys, about my past, some people might think it quite shocking and stuff, with the drug addiction and all that sort of stuff and the thievery and the prison. But to the people that matter to me, they already know all this. So yeah, and I was speaking to my mum, and we was talking about, the couple of years I was, we'd gone out for something to eat in Sutton, and we was talking about the couple of years that I was on with a private doctor. And the money that cost, was a lot of money back then. It was like 500 each time you see the doctor, once a month. So imagine that would be a lot more now. That was like 30 years ago. So yeah, I'm going to be doing the story about that really. So yeah, private doctors. I remember when I was in Scrubs in 1990, 91, when I was on remand there. When I was going through reception, Boy George, the singer, Karma Chameleon and all that, he was, he'd been arrested for causing death or attempted murder or something like that, giving someone drugs, and they died, they overdosed, and he got arrested for that. And that was, at the time, he was getting his drugs off a private doctor. And obviously he gave some to his friend or something like that, or that's what he was accused of, and he was arrested because that person died. So yeah, he ended up at the Scrubs. But I remember I was coming through reception at the same time, but he was just coming through reception, and it came through that he'd got bail, so he didn't actually end up going on a wing. But later on, about 5 years later, I was actually in prison with his uncle Kenny O'Dowd from Beckenham, who was doing 14 years, and I was quite close to him in High Point. Yeah. So when I got out of High Point, like I said before, in '95, I was back in again. A few months later, I was back in Highdown, and then I got back out again in '96. From Highdown, when I got a community rehabilitation sentence, and I've had quite a few of those. And I just want to say, on your ACRO and stuff, I've had this many times since 1986. Been to a lot of prisons, done a lot of time in prisons, and you might do quite a bit of time, go to court and get a community sentence, and that time you spent doesn't count for anything. If you're getting a community sentence, possibly the judge will take it into consideration that you have done a bit of bird, and it will help you get maybe a drug treatment and testing order or community service, paid work, unpaid work or something like that. Yeah. So like I said, I've got out in '96 from Highdown, and I'm going up to Rose Hill with my friend Dave Jewell, who's sadly he's dead now. I did mention him in another story, one of my stories, about where the screw got shitted up, because I was in Highdown with him. So yeah, I met up with him at a friend of mine's place, Scott's Jimmy. He used to live in a house just by the bingo hall there up in Rose Hill. He used to be Scott's Jimmy and his Mrs. Diane. A lot of you around Carshalton know who I mean. Obviously they're not together, but sadly they had a son, Justin Walker, and another another young guy that died, you know, and I think he was only about 18 or 19 when he passed away, you know. So yeah, this stuff, this drug use goes through generation after generation, you know, and just a warning there about how many deaths are caused by this. I mean, someone was saying, what is the purpose of my channel? I suppose a lot of it is to warn people against the life of drug addiction, really, you know. You know, of course I have some good memories, but a lot of them are bad, you know. All the years in prison, you know, all the withdrawal and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, back to the story. So yeah, I've gone up to Scott's Jimmy's house on at Rosehill there on the St Helier estate. And I've just come out, you know, I've been using the brown and the crack, me and Dave. We're hanging around together, you know. I bought a little car off my mate Danny Messenger from Stanley Park School. I went to school with him. He had a showroom, a car front, I mean, up Blackshaw Road in Tooting. So I used to get a few motors off him. I just got this little motor off him, but actually he has moved to Australia now, Danny. But I got this little Vauxhall Astra off him, and me and Dave were going about in that. And I think it was an Escort, Mark III Escort. That's how long ago this was. And it was a few years old when I had it. So yeah, me and Dave were knocking about together, and we've gone up to Rosehill to Scott's Jimmy's place. And you know, I'm talking about, we're all sitting down chatting, you know, as you do. Obviously we're using a bit of brown and a bit of white, and I'm chatting about, you know, grafting and not wanting to go straight back to jail, and I was on this community sentence and that, suspended sentence, all this sort of stuff, you know, and I didn't want to be out thieving every day, you know, to get the money for my drug habit, you know, because I knew inevitably I would be back in prison very, very soon. I mean, that had been the pattern for the last, 10, 11 years of my life, you know. I've been using heroin since I was 15, intravenously as well, you know, so yeah, and basically had taken over my life. So me and Dave were talking to Scott's Jim, and he said, well, you know what I do, I go to a private doctor, Dr. Japowski, up in Edgware Road, and you need this certain amount of money, you know, to pay the doctor every month, you know. It was about 500 quid, and also depending on what prescription you get, when you go and cash in your prescription, that's going to cost a few £100 as well, so a lot of money, and you'd have to do this every month. So basically, yeah, he took me up there in his motor. He had a nice, I think he had a brand new Cavalier back then, a burgundy one. Yeah, we drove up to Edgware Road, not with Dave, me and Scott's Jimmy, and I registered up there with Dr. Japowski, paid the cash, you know, got the prescription, and then the first prescription, obviously, I cashed in at Bliss, which was a 24-hour chemist in Oxford Street, you know, because it was quite late. But after that, you know, Bliss was very expensive. I did change my chemist to Bees in Bednall Green there, you know, by Dalston Junction train station, you know, where the Rude Mercs showroom is. And I changed my chemist there because it was cheaper. So yeah, after paying the monthly fee to the doctor, which was 500 a month, I got my prescription, and it was Phyceptone ampules. I mean, I have had pure heroin ampules before, dry amps they're called. They're like little glass bottles with powder in the bottom, pure heroin, which is freeze dried. And I've had them many times, but from this doctor, the main thing, he didn't do those, but there were other doctors that did, like Safinanthem in Croydon, and those little diamorphine ampules started at 10 milligram and went all the way up to big ones, 250 milligram, which would be a quarter of a gram of pure heroin. But this Dr. Japowski, he did Phyceptone ampules, and these were the little glass bottles, and inside of the bottle was 1 ml of liquid containing 50 milligrams of Phyceptone, or methadone, if you want to call it that. and obviously one of those is enough to kill 2 or 3 people if you have no tolerance or you've never used opiates before, you know, very strong. So the maximum amount we could get prescribed, I was getting 4 of those per day. That's 200 milligrams of Viceptone, you know, 4 50 milligram injectable ampules. And also I was getting the 2 milligram dexedrine tablets, you know, speed. I was getting quite a few of those, a few hundred of those a week, and obviously you mix those with the Viceptone amps and you've got your pharmaceutical speedball, you know, the upper and the downer. And also I used to get Valium tablets, diazepam tablets, you know, a couple of boxes a week of those, so 56 of those a week. And also I used to get a box of Rohypnol, you know, the purple Rohypnol. They're like little purple diamonds, and you could actually inject those, which I used to as well, sadly, you know. And I was getting those as well, you know. Later on they became notorious as they were the date rape drug, you know, and they actually, well, they didn't get banned, they changed the way they're made and put some sort of green dye into them like they used to do with temazepam, you know. So, but when I was getting them, they were a little purple diamond shape, you know. So yeah, all that together I was getting, you know, 28 of those, 28 ampules a week, you know, 56 Valium, 28 Rohypnol a week, you know. And I think I was getting about 112 dexedrine tablets as well, but like I say, they're the 2 milligram, but obviously they were pure amphetamine, dexamphetamine, you know. So yeah, so I'd get the prescription and you know, go and cash it in. And a lot of the time, like I say, after I used to go to B's Chemist, which was a notorious chemist in Bethnal Green there. I remember I used to bump into Dave Ward from the Hoxton wards up there, up Hoxton, you know. And sometimes, you know, to keep the money going, I'd sell a bit of my prescription, you know. The ampules back then would sell for 1 ampule and 1 dex, one ampule and 1 dexedrine tablet would be 10 quid, you know. So you can imagine how much money you could be made if you were selling your whole prescription. But like I say, I only used to sell a small bit and take most of it myself, you know. And also on top of all this, you know, I was giving away a lot of the dexedrine to my partner at the time over in East London. And I used to go and visit her there and give her the dexedrine. And also I was still using crack on top and heroin on top, you know. I was going to see my mates Peter and Jason at the time. So yeah, a lot of drugs, a lot of money, you know. But like I say, where I was on the private prescription with Japowski, I did manage to keep my life quite together, really, you know, because a lot of the time when you're into the heroin and crack, a lot of the time back then you were wasting a lot of time waiting for drug dealers and all this, you know. Sometimes someone would say there'd be 10 minutes and then 2 hours would be gone and you're still waiting for them, you know. So, you know, I used to spend half my time standing on street corners waiting for drug dealers, you know. What a waste of life, you know. But like I say, I remember one time when me and Scott's Jimmy were going out to Edgware Road, you know. We had an appointment up there and we were both sick, you know, because we were doing so much opiates and stuff, and we wanted to go up there and get our script. And what we used to do, he had a brand new Vauxhall Cavalier, like I said, and he had this police siren, magnetic police siren, and we'd get to somewhere like Park Lane, you know, and he'd put the siren on the roof and then turn it on and we'd bomb through the traffic and stuff like that, you know. Yeah, mad days. But yeah, I have got a few other stories I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be doing one about my time doing the boxing in the amateurs and stuff like that, you know. I'm going to be doing another one, continuing the Belmarsh story, you know, about the regime in Belmarsh, you know, because I was in there when it opened for a couple of years. So I'm going to be doing all that, guys. And yeah, I'm up in London, up in South London again this week at Spanglish party. I'm going to a party there with a lot of friends from school and a lot of friends that I know from the boxing, the amateur boxing from school days and that. You know, I'm going up there, and Spanglish is a friend of mine, Spencer, who used to box for England. That's his company. They do all the food, lovely Spanish food, you know, like tapas. They do the food festivals and parties and all that sort of stuff. But if you're on my Facebook, you'll see who they are, and you know, you can book them for events and stuff. But yeah, they're doing the party there on Saturday, so I'm really looking forward to that. So yeah, that'll be the day after tomorrow, and yeah, today hottest day of the year. So I'm looking forward to November, because I'm away again in Tenerife in November just for a week, but really looking forward to it, you know. So yeah, well, that's about it, guys. Just a quick video there for you, and I'll speak to you all soon. Thanks a lot. Cheers.